In the early spring of 1888, I held a one-man show in Glasgow, and included in it were a series of sketches I'd been making in the Glasgow exhibition grounds. This led to my being chosen by the Glasgow Corporation to paint the state visit of Queen Victoria in August, for which £600 had been earmarked to meet the cost. Thus, at one swoop, I was ushered into royal circles, having up till then aspired to nothing higher in social life than that of the Lord Provost. There was tense excitement in Glasgow on the day itself. From where I was perched, on the side of the dais on a very small platform, looking through a hole in the curtain that screened me, I could only see the bath chair being wheeled in, the bowling courtiers and the privileged ones who surrounded the chair, where sat the stout elderly lady wearing a widow's bonnet and looking rather severe. Everyone bowing to the ground was my first impression. A movement of the curtain caused her to look in my direction. It seemed to penetrate the dark material and expose me and my paintbox. For the moment, disconcerted, my hand trembled, but I managed to jot down a few notes of value. Eddie, now Sir Edward Marsh, admired it, so I gave it to him. I was surprised 40 years after to find it in an exhibition of the Contemporary Art Society. No one dared to ask the Queen to give a sitting, even in the Scotland she loved. The Lord Provost sent me to Sir Henry Ponsonby, her private secretary. He was very nice, but the best he could do was to give me permission to make a copy of Her Majesty's portrait by Von Angeli, her favourite painter. I couldn't very well tell him that a good untouched photograph would be better to work from than a painting by an artist, however good, because while a painting expressed the opinion of the artist, the photograph expressed no opinion at all and gave me solid fact. Besides, a sitter's favourite portrait in 9 cases out of 10 is sure not to be a likeness. When you come to think of it, how much more valuable as a record of fact a photograph of Christ would be than a painting by the greatest portrait painter that ever lived. I explained that there was no portrait of the Queen in Scotland painted from life that I knew of, and I feared that a copy of the portrait mightn't satisfy the people that had given her one of the most enthusiastic receptions of her reign. Perhaps he might consider putting my request before the Queen. He said he knew it would be useless. I tried the Honourable Harriet Phipps, the Duchess of Buccleuch, and Lady Southampton, all in special favour but without success. At last, when I had given up hope and was prepared to depend on the camera, Prince Henry came to my aid. The Queen could refuse him nothing. He came to Glasgow with the royal entourage, and while he was giving me a sitting at Windsor, I told him of my difficulty. He at once said, "I will ask the Queen." He left the room and returned in a few minutes. "The Queen will come at 2 o'clock. I got my things together and waited. On the tick, the door opened, and in walked a little lady, followed by 2 ladies in waiting, all in black with their bonnets on. It was a very cold, large room, with a very small fire in the distance, no other heating. The Queen looked warm, a dark red complexion and plenty of clothing. The ladies seemed afraid to raise their voices. I offered the Queen a chair, which she refused, saying she would rather stand. She asked what view of her face I wanted. I said, "Profile, if it please your Majesty." She said she had put on the bonnet she had worn in Glasgow, at the same time looking me up and down. Then she went on talking with the ladies. The subject of their conversation was flannel underclothing, which must have given the ladies some comfort. They were looking so cold. I might have felt embarrassed had I not had an important task on hand, the painting of the Queen. My anxiety to get it down blotted out the subject for the time being. Before I could complete my study, she indicated that she had had enough, about 20 minutes it appeared to me, and turned and left the room without showing any interest in what I had done. However, I was more than pleased that I had got something to show. Looking at her profile reminded me of a Roman coin showing a Caesar. In order to do the thing properly, it was necessary to have over 200 portraits, all of them painted from life. The difficulty was to get them to sit. But after the sitting from the Queen, everything was plain sailing. When the whole picture, a canvas 10 feet by 8 feet, was completed, I took it down to Windsor to show the Queen. She said I'd made the head too big for the body, and Princess Louise, the artist of the family, thought that there was too much foreground of red carpet. Otherwise, the work was considered successful.